I'm about to talk about one of the most infamous scrapped movies of all time. Like, when you talk about people who want to see comic book movies that never came out, this is one of them. This is the story of Superman Reborn, or Superman Lives, as it had two working titles, similar to Batman Unchained / Batman Triumphant. It had two working titles. We weren't sure what it was going to be called overall. We just know that the script had two different titles. What makes this one famous is that this was supposed to kind of be a spin-off to Tim Burton's Batman universe, as this was more supposed to follow that story, and of course Tim Burton was set to direct the movie. However, Kevin Smith of Clerks fame was the original script writer, and he may have been scheduled to be the original director. However, when they hired Tim Burton on, he didn't like the script. Him and Kevin Smith kind of went at it, and Kevin Smith left the project. And this was supposed to be an interesting movie because it was set to release sometime in 1998. A couple of years after Batman Forever come out is when they started working on this movie, and they were hoping that Batman and Robin would be enough of a success that they can, go down the path and make the first Superman movie in what would have been over a decade at that point. It's the last Superman movie. The most recent one that had come out around that point was Superman 4, The Quest for Peace in 1987. The story was supposed to follow the death of Superman's storyline, and it was supposed to feature three villains, Lex Luthor, Doomsday being the main two, and Brainiac. And this one was supposed to see Doomsday and Lex Luthor team up to kill Superman, and I guess Brainiac was just there doing other things. I couldn't really see in my research what the hell Brainiac was doing there, but that's just what it was. And throughout this time, Lex Luthor, or Doomsday, they end up killing Lois Lane, and of course that makes Superman go a little insane to the point where he dies, but he also ends up coming back later and vowing revenge. Or not even vowing revenge, that's not Superman. He more just, starts to live his life without Lois Lane and becoming a better Superman in a way. Now, there's not much known about the cast, but one of them was supposed to be Kevin Spacey to play Lex Luthor. Now, later that did happen in what would be Superman Returns, but it was supposed to happen earlier in this movie. And then of course there's the casting of Superman, the big casting. Now if there's one thing you know about Tim Burton, his castings back then for these movies like this were a little controversial. Like when he brought in Michael Keaton to play Batman, people are like, I don't know if you can bring a comedic actor in and have it work, but it did in Batman and Batman Returns. So this time around, instead of getting someone who would fit the role very well, like someone obvious, Tim Burton said, you know what? This Nicolas Cage guy seems pretty good. I'm gonna have him play Clark Kent. And if this movie was made, we'd probably be looking at something genius here in a good or bad way, because really I don't know how to feel about this. I don't know how Nick Cage would have went about this or what, or if he would have even been good. It's just kind of one of those things that makes us think, like, would this have worked? Or would our instincts have been correct? And this is actually true. This isn't like a rumor. There's pictures of the screen testing with Nicolas Cage trying on these different Superman outfits. This was going to happen one way or another. The movie was also rumored to feature Michael Keaton, who was to cameo as Bruce Wayne in this movie. Apparently Bruce Wayne was supposed to be on like a business trip to Metropolis, and during this time Clark Kent was going to run into Bruce Wayne, and that was supposed to show you, hey, this is tied into the Burton-verse, just to kind of get that clarification. But even that was kind of unknown. Michael Keaton said he did get contacted about it, but there was nothing ever in the works past that. So that again was just kind of like a thing that maybe would have happened, but who knows at this point in time. This movie didn't really get much further into production or anything, as there was a lot of trouble with the script, and there just wasn't a lot of... There was a lot of tension between Tim Burton and Warner Brothers, because with the way they treated his Batman movies and the sudden exit there, you can tell that there was still this mini grudge, whether it was Warner holding a grudge against Tim or Tim holding a grudge against Warner Brothers. There was just something wrong in this case, because when he made the first Batman, studio interfered a little bit and Tim Burton didn't like that, and by the time he was able to do the sequel, Warner Brothers let him do his thing, and then they deemed it too violent for kids, and now Batman was becoming less marketable, so they basically just kicked him off the project, or were going to kick him off the project before he basically said, you know, if you don't want me anymore, just say it, I'll leave, it's fine.
They basically came out and said they didn't want me to do another one, so I remember being in the meeting, I got thinking, wait a minute, we're talking about this movie, and you really, basically, you don't want me to do this. No, but you really don't want to do this kind of movie again, do you, Tim? I mean, you don't want to do, you want to do some movie that's this or that. You don't really, they're trying to talk me out of it.
And now all of a sudden they're bringing him back to do a Superman project. It was just, it was bound not to work, or it was bound to kind of fall through in the first place. And, I mean, you gotta look at it this way. Tim Burton, I think, would have fit well more with Batman. Like, Batman is just a darker character with this, you know, Tim Burton-esque kind of thing. Like they wanted him to make a dark comic book. They still wanted him to make it for kids, but also, you know, didn't have to be super campy. Batman fits that very well, and Tim Burton showed that in his 2 movies. But with Superman, I'm not saying you have to be campy. I'm just saying I don't think you can get as dark as you were with Batman, and just the way Tim Burton does things in his movies, I don't know if this would have worked well in the first place. And I'm a Tim Burton fan, but him doing Superman just didn't feel like the right fit. It felt like Warner Brothers only did it because they wanted to show people that, hey, we still care about the Burtonverse and we want to kind of get back on track with things, but that never happened. Of course, later down the line, this movie was scrapped, this script overall. It was rewritten, Tim Burton left, and Bryan Singer was brought in to direct this movie. Now, the thing about Bryan Singer was he was known for directing the first 2 X-Men movies, some of the better comic book movies around this time, and that same year that this Superman movie here was going to come out, X3, the finisher of that trilogy, had released as well, but Bryan Singer wasn't directing because him and Fox got in a little bit of a beef, and he left over control problems. So he decided, I'm gonna go flip the switch to DC, and we got Superman Returns in 2006, which saw Brandon Routh playing Superman, and of course, this kind of follows similar to what Superman Lives was supposed to be. However, they did things a little bit different as opposed to following the Tim Burton Batman universe. It follows the original Superman movies, but only 1 and 2. Comes right after 2. It's ignore 3 and 4. It's just like Batman 1989 comic book where it's like follow the Burton movies but ignore Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Act like they never happened. Like this is the same shit, but Superman did it first back in the day when they were like Superman Returns. Yeah, no, this is the 3rd movie that follows Superman 1 and 2. Don't Superman 3 and 4 never happened here. We're going a whole different direction. Or it's like now, if you want to be more relevant with it, I guess, it's like what they're doing with the Halloween movies. How, you know, you had Halloween 1 and 2, 3 had nothing to do with it, and then they went back to the Michael Myers stores like 4, 5, 6, and then H2O, Resurrection, all that, and then they made these new movies, and now it's like, oh yeah, no, this new trilogy that's happening, this follows after the 2nd movie, so just act like those other movies never happened, and you'll be okay, you'll get this story better. And it's like, but you just did a story about this years ago, following this up. Like, I don't understand. To be honest with you, the Superman movie got good reviews, but I was never a personal fan of it. I just found it really boring in a way. Like, I don't really feel like Brandon Routh did all that good of a job. I don't know if it was a script or whatever, but I just wasn't feeling it. Like, even as an 8-year-old kid seeing this in theaters, it just bored me half to death, and I thought, well, maybe it was just because I was younger. Maybe if I watched it as an adult now, something will come of it. And no, it was just a bunch of the same thing. And to this day, it makes me wonder, what would have happened if Superman Lives would have came out? Well, first of all, I don't think this movie would have been scrapped all the way had Batman and Robin not failed, because they had plans to continue doing big things with DC if Batman and Robin had done what they expected it to do. They were expecting another Batman movie to come out a year after Superman Lives, and maybe they were going to plan sequels for Nicolas Cage's Superman to continue that story, to keep going with that. But ultimately, it had a lot to do with the studio and Tim Burton just continuing to clash, and a lot of things just didn't go down, and they never really got out of the, oh, here's the dress rehearsal thing they did with Nick Cage and all that kind of stuff. It never started filming, it never did anything else. There's a script out there. They even have a documentary about this, which I think is really, really cool. I would definitely recommend a watch if you haven't watched it already. It goes through what the problems with production were, and it speaks to the people who were involved at the time and why this kind of failed in general. I think it does a good job explaining all the things, especially when it's coming from people who were actually there, actually present when this project was going on. But for now, this is a movie that we're just going to have to think to ourselves, what if? How would this have turned out? Would Nicolas Cage have even been a good Superman? Like, who knows? Like, people laugh at it now, but it's one of those things where until we see the movie, which is never going to happen, we can't really judge Nick Cage on how he was going to do as Superman, because we don't know. Maybe he was set to do a terrific job, but we just never got to see it, and that's kind of the downfall of it. Or maybe he was just going to be so bad that maybe we could get some memes out of it. But the only really meme we got from this was Nicolas Cage in the Superman costume, because, well, it just looks ridiculous. Like, why does Clark Kent have long hair? I don't understand that premise, but hey, whatever. Tim Burton followed the comics, but he put his own little Tim Burton twist on things that it did piss fans off sometimes. Like I said, just watch the first two Batman movies and you'll understand just some of the backstories to his characters were definitely way different from what the comic book offered, but in the end, with the way he did things, it just fit better, so you can't really complain about it that much. But that's it for me. You can tell me in the comments below, what do you think? How would Nicolas Cage have done as Superman? Do you think he would have did too much, like overacted like he's known to do? Or do you think he would have been at least okay? Like, do you think that there would have been some things to like about it to where you would have loved to have seen him return again as the character if there was going to be a sequel for this movie? But stay safe out there, wear your mask, get vaccinated, and I will catch you all in the next one.
Yeah, I mean, you were saying it'll feel a little looser the more I wear it.
Yeah, it's really tight.
This is great. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a big, wow.